Hey guys, welcome back to Pages with Sidra. Today, we're diving into Chapter 202 of The Greatest Estate Developer. And trust me, this chapter is pure chaos. The Hell King is here. Javier and Lloyd are hanging by a thread. And the battlefield? It's on fire, literally. If you missed the last chapter, go catch up first. But if you're ready for one of the most intense fights yet, let's get into it. High above the battlefield, Lloyd soared through the skies atop his summoned beast, racing toward Javier with a storm of thoughts swirling in his mind. The number of fates I saved, -1. Down below, the Hell King launched a devastating punch at Javier. But Javier, sword in hand, managed to block the blow, barely. The force of the attack sent him stumbling, thrown off balance. In that split second, the Hell King's fist struck again, this time landing directly on Javier's face. Back in the sky, Lloyd kept flying higher, gaze locked on the battlefield below. That meant one of us wouldn't make it in the end. Then he corrected himself, fire burning in his eyes. That's nonsense. Not me. And I won't let Javier die either. Below, Javier dropped to one knee, blood trickling from his face, body battered, but not broken. Lloyd's voice echoed with conviction. He is the protagonist of this world. At that moment, as Lloyd flew overhead, a strange ripple passed through his body, like a glitch in reality, his form flickering, distorting for just a second. On the ground, the Hell King raised his fist again, ready to crush the kneeling knight. But Javier clenched his teeth in fury. In a flash of movement, he struck back, his sword slicing through the Hell King's abdomen. A burst of crimson erupted from the wound. Grinding his teeth, Javier pushed forward for another strike. If I lose, Suho Kim dies. Never. That man, Suho Kim, because he's the protagonist of this world. The Hell King twisted, dodging with eerie precision, his body bending back at a perfect 90-degree angle. Suddenly, Javier's body too began to flicker, just like Lloyd's earlier. Another glitch. Another crack in reality. Before he could react, the Hell King's foot slammed into his head, sending his sword flying from his hand. The Hell King's wounds were already healing, flesh and clothes restoring as if rewinding time. He watched Javier closely, a hint of admiration in his voice. Javier Azrahan. I'm impressed. He's growing stronger, just like the 80% of my power that's now recovered. Then, without hesitation, he kicked Javier across the face again. What a shame. If he lives, he might even challenge a god's throne. Blood spilled from Javier's nose and mouth, but still, he gritted his teeth, refusing to fall. The Hell King lifted a single finger and aimed it toward Javier, ready to unleash a deadly blast. But in that moment, Javier lunged forward, mouth wide open, and bit down hard. With full force, he sank his teeth into the Hell King's finger, biting it clean off. He turned his head, spitting the severed finger aside. The Hell King stared, shocked. From the wound, no blood flowed. Instead, a dark, shadowy mist oozed from where the finger used to be. 3 blackened fingers dropped from Javier's mouth, clattering to the ground. A pause. Then the Hell King spoke, calm and cold. Now my curiosity is satisfied. His expression darkened. Time to rest. He stepped forward and grabbed Javier's head with one massive hand, gripping it tight. But before the crushing blow could fall, a shadow dropped from the sky. Lloyd, shovel in hand, leaping straight from his summon, heading straight for the Hell King. The Hell King's grip tightened around Javier's neck, lifting him effortlessly off the ground, like a doll in the hands of a monster. Above, Lloyd hovered in the air, his gaze sharp, his shovel pointed directly at the Hell King. Without warning, he shouted. Boom! His shovel began to glow, pulsing with a fiery red aura. The Hell King paused. Then, calmly, he released his grip on Javier's neck. With a flick of his left hand, he raised a single finger again, the same deadly gesture as before. A black streak slashed through the air. In a blink, Lloyd's body is cut in half, from his stomach down. The Hell King's voice echoed with sarcasm. Why not sing a song while you're at it? Though, I do enjoy your singing. But Lloyd didn't flinch. He bared his teeth in a bold smile. The Hell King narrowed his eyes. Something felt off. All right, Suho Kim still has one more life, gifted by the Dragon King. But while he was lost in thought, a sword gleamed behind him. Javier, still alive, still fighting. He let out a battle cry and charged forward. The blade sliced through the Hell King's neck, clean and deep. Lloyd, meanwhile, had fallen to the ground, his lower body slowly regenerating. The Hell King staggered as his neck opened in a bloody gash, and then his head began to shift, off-center, slowly separating. Javier stood panting, sweat pouring down his face. But the nightmare wasn't over. Even with his head twisted unnaturally, still attached, barely, the Hell King spoke again. 100%. Javier's eyes widened in horror. Lloyd, still watching from below, was just as stunned. His legs continued to regrow, but there was no time to react. The Hell King raised his right arm, and then he moved it. Javier rose into the air, lifted by an invisible force, completely at the mercy of the Hell King's will. Then, another motion. The Hell King thrust his hand forward, and Javier went flying, launched across the battlefield. He crashed down violently, tumbling between hellspawn and monsters, before finally slamming into the earth near the kingdom's soldiers. From the distance, a cry. "Sir Azrahan!" The queen ran toward him, panic in her voice. Back on the battlefield, the Hell King lifted his left hand again. This time, a ball of crimson fire began to form in his palm, swirling, hissing, growing. And then, he threw it. The fireball streaked across the sky, expanding as it flew. Buildings in the frontier territory exploded on contact, reduced to dust. And still it grew. Too big. Too fast. It consumed everything in its path. Territory, soldiers, walls, obliterated in seconds. Those still battling the monsters turned to see it coming. Frozen in place. Unable to move. Just watching their doom approach. The entire front line fell silent. Everyone gazing at the apocalyptic wave of fire and death now rushing toward them. Then, a system window flashed into the air. And on it, only 2 words. Suho Kim. The ground trembles as he slowly rises. Behind him, the queen, soldiers, and mages stand, frozen, silent. His face is battered, bruised beyond recognition. His head lowered. He looks utterly spent, strength nearly gone. Suddenly, a message flashes across the system. With your current power, you cannot defeat the Hell King. But he doesn't back down. He takes a fighting stance. Wings burst forth from his back. And just as the crimson inferno looms closer, another message interrupts. Wait, you've already used direct advice once. I can't authorize more. Yet he still charges forward. He raises his weapon, ready to stop the blazing attack. And then, screw that. Find me or punish me however you want. He presses on. From the sky, the author himself protests. Hey, excuse me. The contract says. But the battlefield cares little for contracts. More soldiers, those of the White Mermaid and the kingdom alike, are blown away by the sheer heat of the blast. A wall of fire sweeping everything in its path. Then, another message. Do what you're best at. Use your best skill. And then, a voice cuts through the chaos. Calm, sharp, unexpected. Hey, Hell King. From behind, he kneels, his body battered, but not broken. A smirk spreads across his face. Can you move that circle aside so we can talk? If we agree on the terms. The Hell King slowly turns, hand still behind his back. You might live your whole life without working again. And that's the end of Chapter 202. A brutal clash, the Hell King's fury, and a battlefield on the edge of collapse. Things have never looked this intense. If you're enjoying the chaos and the comeback, make sure to like, subscribe, and join as a member for early access and exclusive perks. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next chapter.